body piercing industry as a whole is heavily invested in looking after the client. That's their main priority. The person who sits in the bedroom or in the kitchen firing holes in people is after one thing and one thing only, and that's money. You've got two options, haven't you? People who are getting pierced, they want a professional. Act like one. What I'm going to be taking you through now is the studio and the basic setup of it. The basics is you need to push towards having a cool, calm environment. If you've got thrash killer music on, it's going to get you nowhere. The client's going to be coming in already hyped up. By the time you get them on the couch, they're just going to sit there and faint straight away before you've even touched them. Calm them down. Have a calm, cool environment, clinical as well, because that's the actual impression and that's the actual standard you need to be striving for. Just to give you a nice guideline around the studio, you're going to be looking at your bench rolls. You've got gloves both sides because at some stage you might actually be working on the other side of the bed. You've got all your jewellery you need at hand, all your forceps at hand, all your needles already pre-packed, sharp spots in your station, and basically anaesthetics if you actually choose to actually use these products. The actual station itself should actually carry every single product you want to carry that piercing out. What we're also going to be teaching you today is a technique we've refined for actually stopping piercings bleeding. How it basically works is like this. When everyone usually does a piercing, the piercing and the jewellery are exactly the same calibre and size, or sometimes people will actually pierce a lot bigger than the jewellery that's necessary to be putting in. Obviously giving your body plenty enough time to let blood come steaming out of it. What we do is actually pierce it. The blade is actually smaller than the actual jewellery we stick in, and the process of putting the jewellery in the cannula is what stretches it. It all sounds very complicated, I know, but it breaks down like this. If you're going to actually do a 1.6mm barred piercing, you're actually going to use a 1.7mm needle. The actual blade in the needle is 1.5mm. When you actually put the jewellery in, slightly stretching the cannula to the size, it'll actually take it up to the size of 1.7, thus sealing the piercing by 0.2mm. It sounds very complicated, but it's a technique that works, we've refined, and it is exceedingly good at its job. You will find that hardly anybody will bleed. Right, I'm going to show you this technique a bit more close up and a bit more refined. Taking a 1.7mm needle and a 1.6 piece of jewellery. When the piercing is actually carried out, you actually reintroduce the needle, slightly withhold it back onto itself, so that that's there acting as a strengthener for the actual process. Put the piece of jewellery in the end. As you can see, it's slightly, very smally enlarged the area. Withdraw the needle, discard it, run it through, and you'll find that it will actually seal the piercing. What we're now going to do is do 2 eyebrow piercings and actually demonstrate this for you. As you can see here, we've got 2 piercings, 2 eyebrows, exactly the same piercings. I've got over here, I've an orange, over here I've got a grey. First thing we'll do is we'll stick the orange piercing in. As you can see, we're already in a situation where we need to control bleeding straight away. Client wants to actually hold that. And just jumping in front of the camera. If you could just take the patch off for me. There you go. It doesn't take much to actually work out the difference in the actual style and the techniques and how it actually works and benefits the client as well as your studio. Right, there you go. The actual technique is exceedingly well proven just with that example that we did. There are a couple of actual differences in certain piercings where you can and can't use this. The only one we've ever found is navel piercings. There is a great reduction in actual bleeding in regard to this piercing anyhow. So personally, I would recommend an orange. Your client will dance all over the bed, and the concept of trying to do refined, stylised work with someone who's trying the best to actually get out the door while still getting pierced is probably not the best way to actually go forward. Also, the tongue piercing. It's not a problem with using this technique with tongue piercings. The only thing you do need to remember is, because it's that tight and it tightens the piercings up, you do need to tell the client that if they actually abuse the piercing over the next couple of days, excessive talking, drug abuse, etc, etc, which you shouldn't be doing anyhow, but clients are clients, then what will actually happen is the tongue will go black and blue. No, you haven't hit anything major, it's just the fact that the muscle cannot go through its normal activities. Right, what we have here is your client. We're just going to run you through some of the basic piercings that are available on the market. There are some other ones, but this particular client carries a fair arraignment of them. You've got the eyebrows with rings, eyebrows with bars, both sides of a nose pierce. You've got your labrets at the bottom. You've also got some extreme lip piercing at the top. On the side here, you've got an industrial, inner conch, Daith at the back there, tragus, tunnels and various other rings. On the side here, we've got a lot of scaffolding work, tragus, rings and tunnels again. Internally, we've got a random assortment of tongue piercings as well. Right, next piercing we're going to be doing is the Daith. With the actual Daith piercing, what you actually need to do is actually bend the needle physically. So what you need to do, start off at the bottom, put a very slight curve in it. Further up, slight curve in it. And just work your way all the way up to the top, till basically the needle's on an offset. Like that. What you need to make sure is the actual cannula itself isn't actually over the blade, the cutting element of the needle. Right, first things first, wipe the ear down. It's a nice easy piercing this is, as long as you use control and some guidance as well. What you want to do is approach the ear with a set of forceps and the needle itself. What you're going to be using the forceps for is for actual placement underneath, to actually strengthen the Daith so it can actually receive the needle and then actually come in from the top with regards to the needle itself. Piercing, run through, nice and easily. You won't actually be able to pull the needle out, so just withdraw it into the cannula itself for the client's safety. Right, with regard to this piercing, you do need to be exceedingly careful when it comes to time to running the actual jewellery through. Place the jewellery at the bottom. I need a nice, very firm push all the way up. Discard the needle. Remove the clamps. Just position it so it's going to be nice and easy for you to actually put the ball on. Bring it out so it's a lot easier for you. Come to the piercing with your circlips all ready. Bring your ball in place. Sorry about the fingers everywhere. Take the clamps off. There you go, Daith piercing. What you need to do, cleaning wise, same principle as always, witch hazel or salt water, both sides of the ring, and then a slight movement of the ring will actually take the actual cleaning into the area.